Welcome to Travel Secrets with me, Tanya Rose, the podcast sharing wisdom for fellow travellers. Each week, I ask my guests to reveal their 6 travel secrets and the holidays and adventures that uncover them. Today, my guest is the lovely Laura Jackson, broadcaster, TV presenter, columnist and homeware guru with her amazing brand, Glassette. If you don't follow her on Instagram, I suggest you do so immediately. She will tell you how to make cocktails, amazing food, tablescaping, and also very cool places to go. Whether she is hosting the most talented, the best beach huts with Jay Blade, girls' tours with Barbara at Glastonbury, or even hot-footing it to Glen Eagles recently for the Dior cruise, I'm sure she will give us amazing stories and tips for us all to follow. Welcome, lovely Laura.
Thank you so much. That was such a nice introduction. I'm going to print that out and have it on my fridge.
It's so lovely to have you here. Before we get into your travel secrets, perhaps you can just tell us a little bit about yourself and about how travel has impacted the person that you are today.
I really love traveling. I think it's one of the things that I look forward to the most. I think it's one of the biggest luxuries that we have to have a passport and travel so freely and be able to, especially in England, hop on a train to France or a very short flight to somewhere completely different, be immersed in somebody's culture, eat different foods, meet incredible people. And I feel like it makes you more understanding of the world and people. It makes you look at culture differently. So inspiring from colours and textures and smells and sounds, and you kind of just get this real sensory attack when you visit certain places. And I don't know, I feel that it really grounds me and it makes me really happy.
And you came originally from Yorkshire?
I did. I'm from Huddersfield, which, not on everyone's travel list, I don't think. But I'm northern and proud, and that's where I grew up.
Is it called God's own country, the north?
I don't know, but it should be.
I think so. It's so beautiful. We have an amazing hotel in Yorkshire called Grantley Hall. Have you been there?
I haven't.
It's absolutely lovely. I must send you there. It's got an amazing spa. It's great with kids. It's absolutely beautiful. Really, really lovely place. I love Yorkshire. Fantastic.
Yeah.
And when you travel, does that give you inspiration for Glassette?
It gives me inspiration for everything. I get so much from traveling, whether it's an ingredient, a color, the way that furniture's positioned in a hotel, or the way that a restaurant will kind of create a zoned area from eating and drinking. I feel so inspired in every way from traveling.
Well, I watch and I follow you. I'm a real fan girl on your Instagram. I'm like, I need to make this cocktail that she made from this place that she went to. And it's so easy and wonderful to watch your Instagram. So travel obviously is very, very important to you. Let's get into your travel secrets. What is your number one destination that you think everyone should go to once in their lifetime?
I thought about this and it's a really obvious one, but it's a real attack on the senses. And for me, it's New York. I think that the way that they, present food, the way that the subway rattles, the smoke coming out of the floor, the kind of pedestrian crossings, the way that there's just so much culture and history ingrained in a city, and you can go from one street to another and you could be, from Chinatown to where kind of the Italian mafia used to have dinner. You just get so much from it. And I think that it is an obvious choice, but I think it's an obvious choice for very good reason. And I have friends that live there. My best friend lives in New York and she's been there for a long time, and I kind of never tire of it. I get so much from the restaurants there in terms of even just the crockery, the plates. I remember going to the diner for the first time in Brooklyn and just being like, wow, I'm in this amazing old train cart. I'm getting served by this really miserable, very sexy man. you know, with the tablecloth was just paper and they wrote all your kind of your gosh, can't remember what's the word, your order. You know, he wrote the order on the tablecloth and was just yelling at people, and I don't know, it was just
That's
everything.
hilarious. What's that called, that diner?
It's just called the Diner
in Brooklyn.
In Brooklyn, yeah. There's just so many places in terms of like restaurants and bars where I feel really inspired.
So when you go to New York, food and things like that are very important when you get there. But do you do anything else? Do you do art galleries or shows or anything like that?
I've actually never done shows in New York. I think for me, culture is food and drink and experiencing that in its many forms, whether it's a street vendor, a really high-end restaurant, a neighborhood cafe. And, you know, this is kind of a bit of a sidetrack thought, but, you know, when my husband talks about moving out of London and he's like, you don't even go to the museums. I'm like, the restaurants are my museums.
Yeah.
They really are. That is culture to me. So when I go to New York, I'm always on the websites finding out the restaurant everyone's talking about, where I should visit, the underground restaurant, where's there a pop-up bar. That's the culture.
Do you have any that come to the top of your mind that you went to recently that you think, oh, somebody should definitely go and try this one out?
I haven't been to New York for about 18 months, or is it 2 years? And it changes all of the time.
Yes,
it's like London. There's always a new place.
Yeah.
So I would say do your research.
Yeah.
There's always amazing lists from TikTok to Instagram to, you know, the website. So I just always go on and see what's great. The place that I've forever gone back to is called Cafe Gitane. And it's this tiny little French cafe. I think it's on the corner of Elizabeth and Mott. There's some amazing little restaurants around there. And yeah, that's a place that I kind of always go back to.
But I don't know that. I must put that on my list.
It's just really small and cute.
Yeah, but I love that. I love where the locals go. Is always fantastic, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I remember when my sister lived there when we left school, so probably 40 years ago, and she lived in the West Village and worked in Little Italy. And it was exactly what you described, where all the mafia, you know, knew each other. But it was so exciting. I'd never been anywhere like that. It was just fantastic.
Yeah.
Really loved it.
It is exciting. I think that's what you could say about New York. It's exciting and it's thrilling. I think as I've got children, I find now I'm like, wow, it's quite overwhelming. It's really busy. But I think it's just exciting.
Have you taken the kids yet?
I haven't taken the kids yet. I'm kind of terrified to, because I want to go to all of those small dive bars and the restaurants. And if I do, it would be a completely different experience. So I'm not sure what that would be yet. However, my best friend has 2 children. So I do think it will be going to the parks,
the zoo,
going to the zoo, going to kind of the art galleries and just doing things differently. But that could also be exciting in just a different way.
You have to, if you go with the kids, go to this amazing cafe called Serendipity, which is in the film with John Cusack. It is so fantastic. They do Knickerbocker Glories and it is just so wonderful. And the other thing you should do is, if you want to take them to the sites, obviously the Empire State Building's amazing, but the queues are always, even with a jump pass, so time consuming. But if you go to the top of the Rock, the Rockefeller Center, you can get a pass for a specific time. You have exactly the same view. And if you go at sunset, it is the best thing to do. So that is a top travel tip.
Yeah, that is a top travel tip. Do you know what just came to my mind as well? Dimes is one of my favorite cafes in New York.
Where's that?
Where the new 9 Orchard Hotel is. And I always eat at Dimes. So my friend Anna lives above La Dive Bar and my best friend Lauren lived a couple of blocks down kind of the street from her. So we always used to go to Dimes and they have the best breakfast. They do these kind of crispy chickpeas with avocado and they have these morning cocktails, which are always really interesting ingredients, and it's beautiful inside. In the toilet, they've got all these really colourful block colour tiles. I always go there. It's just the best.
Oh, that's a really brilliant tip. Thank you. I shall look out for that when I go in November.
Yes.
I shall definitely go to Dimes. Thank you.
It's very cool. Good people spotting.
Yes, excellent. What is your most unexpected journey or trip or destination that you've ever been on?
I was thinking about this as well because I've been to so many places and I always have a level of expectation. I do a lot of research. I look at lots of photographs and I really think about where I want to go and what I want to do. But I went to the Maldives with the children in January, and I didn't really know what to expect in terms of they're all hotels on small islands. I didn't imagine that I would be completely blown away by a place or the way that the hotel had created a feeling or the philosophy, or I don't know. I had not low expectations of the hotel. I had high expectations of the hotel, more of the Maldives and what I was going to get from it. Is it just going to be
lying on a beach and doing nothing?
A fly and flop, went to the Maldives, just one of those places you go on your honeymoon. You know, I really like to immerse myself in culture and going to restaurants and having a new way of thinking when I've experienced something. But my children every day still ask me when they can go back to the Maldives. And I'm like, shh. Oh my God, stop it.
So which hotel did you go to in the Maldives?
We went to the I can never say it. Now I can't say it. This is my dyslexia. Soneva.
Yeah,
Soneva.
He's called Sonu and she's called Ava, and it's Soneva.
I totally know that, but my dyslexic brain is never like, oh, you know that word. Soneva. Okay, ask me then.
I'm completely dyslexic, so I absolutely agree. And in fact, I've got my cards that I wrote completely upside down today, which shows how dyslexic I am.
That is so me.
It's hysterical. So I've been to Soneva Fushi. It is amazing.
Yeah.
And did you see the flying bats everywhere? And it's no news, no shoes, which means you don't have to wear shoes anywhere. And they have that outdoor cinema where they play amazing movies. I bet your kids had the best time.
They had the most amazing time. I honestly believe that they will remember that trip forever. They loved the rabbits and they love vegetables and the garden. So they were going around touching everything and they were allowed to try different things. And I think just what Sonu has created on that island is absolutely incredible. You know, they have an incredible ecosystem for everything. Yeah. So they recycle as much as possible. Whatever they can't recycle, they make into furniture and give it to the local schools. They just are a blueprint in how to do really luxury hotels in a sustainable way, because those two words don't necessarily go that well together. I was honestly blown away just by everything, the staff, the feeling that you get as soon as you step on that boat and go over there. It is just otherworldly. Oh, it was just amazing. Yes. Everything.
And actually his other two are wonderful. Soneva Jani, which is the one with the slides off. And I think they've just opened one called Soneva Seoul, which I think is a wellness island.
Okay.
Or is about to open or has opened.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he and his wife done an amazing job, I think. They really have. And I understand what you're saying about your children, because the first trip I took my son on when he was about 7, I think, was on an airline called Silverjet, which was business class only to New York. And we had long, beds and everything. He loved it. And the next time we flew, he said, "Mummy, are we going on Silverjet?" And I said, "No, darling, we're going on EasyJet." And you better get used to it, because that's what we're going to be flying normally.
This is it now, hon. Strap in. I think I tried not to have any preconceptions as well, because, Soneva is a luxury hotel, and I was thinking, is it going to be stuffy? Am I going to feel out of place? Am I going to have to bring out outfits? What are the other guests going to be like? And I tried to not do too much research into it. Again, I had preconceptions about the Maldives, but I just couldn't believe how relaxed and informal it was. And that's probably not to everybody's taste if you're into super high-end luxury, not wearing any shoes, perhaps not wearing kind of dinnerware, not, if buffets aren't your thing.
Yeah.
But, the chocolate room, everything so was lovely. Just amazing.
Well, I took no notice of the no news, no shoes, and took so many pairs of shoes, which of course I didn't end up wearing. It was dreadful.
Yeah.
That actually takes us nicely into the next travel secret, which is, what's been your most underwhelming or even overwhelming place that you've ever been to?
I think I had a bad experience at a couple of years ago. Me and my husband went to North Brittany. And I think I thought I was going on some Anthony Bourdain experience.
Absolutely, because he loved that part of the world, didn't he?
He loved Brittany. He, really flew the flag for there. And I think I was quite excited about having this kind of love affair with a different part of France. I love Paris. I love the south of France. And this was kind of a new territory that we went to. I was pregnant with my third baby, and my husband, I love him, my husband had rented an Airbnb for us, and it was a terrible Airbnb.
Oh no.
We were working from home because we'd gone away for 3 weeks. This was in North Brittany. We moved on the second half of the trip and had a better time, but I just had a terrible, terrible experience. It was really rainy. We had a really bad Airbnb. We had no Wi-Fi, even though he was like, oh, don't worry, I've booked this place that was got Wi-Fi because we still need to work. And I had the worst morning sickness with my third child. I mean, I had antenatal depression. So put me in a terrible house, just pouring down with rain. It was just, it was so underwhelming. And I just, it made me feel a bit sad.
Oh, I know. And he was so amazing. I watched all those shows again and again and again.
Yeah.
And it was a part of the world that he absolutely loved. So that's so sad to hear. Actually, talking about Airbnb, I know one of the companies that you really love is Unique Homestays. You've been on a couple of those, haven't you?
I love renting homes. I think you get a really different experience than a hotel. I think they both serve amazing, different purposes. But I like sometimes making my own dinner. I like going to the market, buying some ingredients, rustling up something, kind of it being a lot more informal and living how a local would live. I go to a place when I go to Mexico City, which I'm sure we'll talk about later on. And that is kind of a hybrid of hotel, B&B, kind of your own house. That's the only kind of place that I've ever found that's a middle ground. But I do like something about staying in a home.
There's a really good Unique Homestays property in Pembrokeshire in Wales. It's called Smokehouse Cottage, and it's right on the beach. It's got 3 bedrooms, but it's exactly that. You're on the beach. You have this wonderful, wonderful sandy beach, and then you can cook and have log fires. It's absolutely beautiful. My husband's from Wales, and he wants to go back and live there. But I said, no, we'll just go and rent that cottage.
Yeah.
Go for a week.
Wales is so beautiful.
No, it is. It's like Yorkshire, beautiful part of the country. Let's talk about Mexico City, actually. Is that your favourite place?
I think it is, yeah. I think it is. I think, again, talking about a city like New York being exciting, Mexico City just is so vibrant, so interesting. It's just an attack on every sense point, I feel I can smell something, I can see something and hear something. I feel like the heat does something to my body. I just really love it. And I'd say it probably is one of my most favorite places. I think it's the place I've been to the most in the world, even though it's quite far away.
Yeah, it is. And Mexico is an amazing country, and there are so many new places around Tulum and all around there, these amazing wellness resorts. There's a great one, in fact, Shah has just opened there. And there's also another one called Palmyra, which is also the House of Aya, fantastic wellness places. So if you want to go from Mexico City to one of those, I can send you there.
Well, that's another place where I was kind of felt quite underwhelmed, was Tulum.
Was it? Interesting.
Yeah. When I went to Mexico City for the first time with John, it must have been about 11 years ago, which is not really that long ago. But I went from there to Tulum, and I kind of thought I'm going to get a similar experience. And it was very, very different. And the beach was full of seaweed. Full of seaweed.
So you couldn't swim?
I mean, you could, but if you wanted to swim through the seaweed. And I think I was so excited about going. I think when you've got something in your head and you have quite high expectations, there's always a chance that you could be disappointed. I think it's kind of good to go and
not expecting too much.
Not expecting too much or building it up in your head to be this crazy, amazing thing. But yeah, Mexico City is just incredible. And there's so many other parts of Mexico that I would love to visit.
Maybe when the kids are a little bit older.
I'd love to do a road trip around Mexico. I'd love to go and stay on a ranch and do horse riding. I'm always looking at those hacienda style hotels in the middle of nowhere. I've got so many stars on my Google Maps. It's ridiculous.
Of where you want to go.
Where I want to go. And whenever I read something or see something or hear someone talking about it, I'm like, oh, quick, put it in my map.
Well, I tell you where you need to put on your map in Mexico is Cuixmala, which is owned by the Goldsmith family and is one of those haciendas with horses and everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Really is amazing.
Yeah, I've read lots about that and seen that a lot. I want to do the things that aren't so known, though. I like doing the things that feel a little bit different. Which is why when we went to Brittany, I was like, that feels like we could kind of find some kind of smaller, more interesting parts of Brittany.
Maybe next time you go when it's not raining and when you're not pregnant and you get a better Airbnb.
And that was it. It wasn't Brittany. Brittany's amazing. It was the rain and maybe my mood. Sorry.
Let's talk about food and drink. Food and drink is obviously so much part of travel and it's obviously so important to you. Mm-hmm. So what do you like eating? Where do you like eating? Where's the best meal you've ever had or cocktail? Let's just talk about food generally.
The most memorable meal that I think I have ever had, and I still think about the experience and the venue and what I ate, was this place called La Cantarana in Lima, and it was in a garage, and it had every wall filled with football memorabilia, from football shirts to signings to posters to photos, all kind of rickety rackety. And they had the most incredible pisco sours and the most amazing raw fish ceviche. And it was just a really simple dinner, but I just remember feeling really blown away by eating and experience something that felt incredibly different.
And authentic.
This must have been about 18 years ago.
And you still remember it to this day?
I still remember it, yeah. Yeah, I just really felt it was a good experience. I really had a great time in Lima. I had a friend there who had moved back home from East London, and I was with an ex-boyfriend and we were traveling around South America, and he took us around for a couple of days and it was just brilliant. We went to like an art gallery opening. He took us to this crazy pop-up nightclub on the top of this empty building. It was just one of those great experiences that you would have only have had if you knew someone on the ground.
Absolutely. And I've never been to Lima. I'd love to go. Fantastic.
It was brilliant. It was a really great trip. We kind of did Peru and Bolivia and Argentina. It was really incredible, and we did most of it. Well, we flew there, but we did most of it on the bus.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, doing bingo nights on the bus because the bus is like 20 hours long. Went to the salt flats. It was brilliant.
That's lovely. How wonderful.
Yeah, I felt really free. And now with work and kids, it's not a feeling that you get that often. And I do remember that feeling, which is maybe why I remember that restaurant.
You hanker back to it.
Yeah.
What is your top travel tip or travel secret?
I think my tip is just to plan. And it's hard to plan and not have high expectations, because when you read about somebody's experience and they're like, well, I found this incredible locket at this pop-up market in this, little part of town, and you're like, this is going to be brilliant. Then you get there and you're like, well,
there's nothing here for me.
I've not bought a locket and this has been crap. But I think planning, for me, I know that it's not the way that everybody does a holiday, but I think I like to punctuate the trip with something to do with vintage furniture, food and drink, a gallery, to kind of create an overall experience. So I feel like I've really immersed myself in as much as possible.
But you're so good at that because you create those, you do so much curation for your Instagram. And if you're doing something, as I said before, with Barber at Glastonbury, you're really, really good at curating those whole experiences, aren't you?
I'd never thought about it like that, but it's so true. I'm really in the details of things. So, and I try not to let it overtake my life being in the details of stuff, but I am, to my detriment, a curator of things, and I want to experience things by those moments. I love moments, and I kind of love creating those moments for myself.
Yeah, but that's why you're such a great storyteller and also content creator, because everything you do has got those amazing moments. So if any hotels are listening to this, you need to be working with Laura to curate your amazing stories and people of influence coming to your hotels.
Thanks very much.
What is your most poignant memory? I mean, obviously we've talked about your trip in Lima and Mexico City, but do you have another travel poignant memory?
My husband and I went from San Francisco all the way up to Vancouver Island to Tofino, and we had planned this trip. Well, I'd planned it to an inch of its life in terms of, you know, renting cars and layovers and ferry times, because you have to. We don't have to, but
better to be organised.
Better to be organised and not miss the ferry when there's only one a day. And I honestly think about that trip every week. It was just brilliant. We listened to podcasts in the car. We rented this amazing old Mustang. We had like a map where, instead of everything being on the phone, we looked at the map where we were going. And it was just John and I. And I think I'm really in that phase at the moment where it's quite transactional with my husband. I've got 3 children. We're organising and doing admin most of the time. We obviously didn't realise that was what was going to, you know, what this phase was going to be like. But now looking back, we just enjoyed so much time together, just chatting and getting to know each other, visiting really interesting and fun places, and which, you know, I gave you the photograph, which is from one of the places that we went to. But, you know, we went to Seattle and just walked around and ate what we wanted and drank in bars and went to pubs, and it's just brilliant. It's just really
and
brilliant.
Beautiful as well. That drive, I would imagine, up to Vancouver is just stunning.
Through the redwoods.
Yeah.
I really didn't expect the vast forests like that.
Yeah.
It is otherworldly. And one of the reasons why I wanted to go to San Francisco is I was so desperate to eat at Chez Panisse. And I love Alice Waters, and I love everything that she's done for food and for schools and for education. And I just really wanted to eat in that restaurant, which is why we started in San Francisco.
And did you love it?
I absolutely loved it. It's probably, again, I could talk about lots of different meals for lots of different reasons, but my husband had this gazpacho and we were both like, why does tomato soup taste this good when it's cold? I don't understand. But she uses very simple ingredients incredibly well. So it was just, it was really great. And I really wanted to go to the Zuni Cafe and have the chicken bread salad, which I also did and was excellent. But I kind of orchestrated the start of the trip around the restaurant, which I always do really. But it was incredible. And I think having the opportunity to travel so freely, not worry about work, had saved the money to go, that I wasn't worrying about the cost of a drink, which I have been many times in my life. It was a really grounding experience that I just won't forget.
How lovely. And actually, I had Dominic West on the podcast in last season, and he said, for his number 1 question, where do you think everyone should go once in a lifetime? He said, you have to go and see the redwoods. Yeah. He's obsessed with trees, and he said they are just incredible there. Really amazing.
And Tofino Island was just great. I did not know that I would feel so happy in this place. It was just so quiet and so leafy, and the water was freezing but incredibly still. And we went on a little aeroplane and just looked at all of the tiny dots of kind of pop-up forests in and around the island. And I'm obsessed with whales, which was why we went to Tofino, because I really wanted to see the whales. So we went with this company called the Jamie Whaling Company and went to see the whales. And it just really made me understand how big the world is and how big the ocean is. We forget that when we live here in London.
And your husband's an amazing photographer, isn't he? So did you get some fantastic pictures as well?
Yeah, we did. We did. Yeah.
That takes me nicely on to my last question, which is I asked you to bring a photograph which sums up travel or an experience. Can you just tell us about that photograph and tell us what it means to you?
The photograph is me in a car with this man that I've no idea who he was, with his 2 very large dogs. And we got completely lost. We were in Seattle, completely lost. We didn't know which way back to go to the hotel. We'd had a few drinks, and we just said to this guy who'd stopped at the traffic lights, "Hey, we want to get back to our hotel. Can you give us a lift?" And he said, "Yeah, sure, get in." And we just sat in this car and we just chatted to this guy, and he drove us around the city and said, "This is this, this is this." And I just remember feeling just so happy. I wasn't on a timeline to get to somewhere. I wasn't in a rush. I wasn't meeting somebody. I didn't have an email to send. I wasn't thinking about the place where I had to get to dinner, because I sometimes get that in my system where I'm like, we've got to go to this place. I felt happy and just, I don't know. And I took that feeling for granted in that moment, because life is a series of ebb and flows, and you don't understand the positives without the negatives. And I think having the children and not feeling so free, I look back at that photo and think, oh, that was a really good time.
Days.
Yeah, those were the days.
Well, it's an amazing photograph, and it sums up your adventurous spirit, and thank you so much for bringing that. What is next for Laura Jackson, and where are you going next? So where are you going next, and what's next?
I have so many saves on my Google map, and I'm always thinking about where I'm going to go. I went to Sweden in the summer for our summer holiday, which was incredible. We went to the archipelagos, we went to Gotland. So I'm always thinking about interesting trips that I can go to with the children. My kind of goal, I would like to get to the point where I could take a year's sabbatical with the kids and travel and have all of those feelings that I've just described with my children. I take them out of school, I homeschool them, we learn about different people in terms of culture, religion, sexuality, everything. Life, not in London, which feels stressful and quite overwhelming. So that is what I would really, really like to do. Whether it happens or not, I'm not sure. But this is the first place that I've said it out loud to someone externally of my family. So hopefully I'll get to a point with work where I have the luxury to do that, because wouldn't that be amazing?
It would be absolutely amazing. And actually it's what life is all about.
Yeah.
And life is all about travel.
Yeah, it is.
So it's been a joy and a delight to go around the world with you and hear all your tips, which I have noted down, and I shall be going to all those wonderful restaurants, but also just to hear your philosophy on life. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been divine.
Thanks for having me.